Boys and girls, it's time for another edition of Litter Media Live. I'm Dan Ramey, he's Mike Smith, and in just a moment we'll get us on camera here.
Uncle Dan and Uncle Mike.
And that's true. Today, I am a great uncle again.
Is that right? Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
So congratulations to Dylan and his bride and their baby, Maverick, born overnight.
You were running some through some Maverick Warner Brother,
Yeah.
but we were wondering if this is Top Gun Maverick that this came.
We're not sure. To be honest with you, he told me at his brother's wedding. He says, "Okay, we're going to name him Maverick." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." And the first thing I thought of was the red mustache character, not Yosemite Sam, but there was a sidekick to this billionaire oil man, and his right-hand man was Maverick and everything. So I played this clip of it. Maverick! 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 Lower me down, Maverick! Not so fast! So happy birthday, Maverick, and welcome to the world. That was one of my favorite Bugs Bunny cartoons, and Bugs just played a small part in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was barely seen. All right, it is time to prepare you for information about stuff going on throughout the Scioto Valley and points beyond as well. That's what we do here. It's good stuff we try and share with our viewers every day.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike provides us with a lot of the content that you see on our website.
Well, most of it. You pitch in from time to time.
Well, I used to pitch in all the time.
Yeah.
Then we brought Mike on part of the team, and it's his baby now, and so I now provide about 0.15% of what we see on the website.
Well, that point, whatever, is important. Yeah. Weather-wise, I guess
Yes.
you'd say raw is today's forecast.
Yeah.
Wet, windy, and cold.
If you're going to walk out with no jacket, that's the case.
Yeah, we're talking about cooler weather again today. It might get up to 46 this afternoon. Windy conditions. There is a possibility of a pop-up shower around 4 and 5 o'clock hours this afternoon. I think the last time I checked, it was 30 or 40% chance. So I've just seen before coming on the air, there were a couple of afternoon sporting events that had already been canceled, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Improving as the day goes, as the days go by. Cloudy, 53 tomorrow, and what's that glow in the sky? Maybe Thursday we'll see some sunshine and a high near 60.
It brings warmth, and we're looking forward to that, certainly. Just happened to see that Aunt Ruth has checked in. So
Oh, she finally got that.
thank you for
alert
finding us there, Aunt Ruth.
She was having trouble with her alert not coming on. For those who are new to the program, if you push the subscribe button, it should alert you every day when we're on.
Yeah, if you
She was
follow us on Facebook, and if you like our page, you should get notification when we go live.
Yeah, for some reason she had been doing that and getting all of our alerts, but for some reason it stopped doing that. So I couldn't help her. I'm not a tech savvy guy, so I'm glad you're back, Andrew.
Yeah, she figured it out without you.
Yeah, there you go.
Good going, Aunt
All right,
Ruth.
way to go.
All right, coming up in just a moment to look at what's making news across the Scioto Valley. We'll also take a look at sports and this date in history. Plus, today is a Revolutionary Day, so we'll have a revolutionary moment for you as well.
Hi, I'm Dave Pinkerton with Advanced Services Heating and Cooling, your local heating and cooling expert. If you want quality service, quality installation, give Advanced Services a call, 740-773-4499.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
I was traveling out and about on the way to Huntington, dropping off my granddaughter Paradise at school, and I saw this, another Scioto Valley dumpster.
There you go.
Right in front of a home where they're doing some renovations. So if you need a dumpster, give Carl a call, 740-253-8389. He'll get you taken care of with a dumpster, and then when you're done filling it up, he'll take it away. And you can say, I'm done.
Now, in our household, we would say that's Ernch.
Ernch?
Ernch.
You actually would say that?
Well, my late father-in-law jokingly used to say the word orange as Ernch.
Ah, gotcha.
So it still lives. Marion Dawson's Ernch still lives.
Would he be one of those? I'm trying to remember. It was Jeff Foxworthy, how he combined words.
Oh, maybe.
And
yeah.
it's like, aren't you going to go ask me how this is going to go?
Yeah.
Aren't you going to do this?
Only jokingly. Marion was a pretty sharp guy, so if he did it, it was only jokingly. Yeah.
You know you're a redneck when
Right.
the color orange is, aren't you going to do something?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I was going for. All right.
I think this started on the way back from a beach trip with Aunt Ruth and Uncle Ivan used to ride with Marion, my father-in-law, and my mother-in-law, Ann.
Yeah.
So it was at a beach trip. I think he had an orange hat or an orange shirt on. And that's how that all started.
Wearing them orange trunks.
Yeah.
Today is an election day.
Yes, it is. Well, at least for many counties in our area. Primary election day with candidate and ballot issues in Pickaway, Highland, and Jackson counties. Ballot issues. Now, this screenshot says only Fairfield County, but I discovered just before coming on the air that Hocking County also has some issues on the ballot. We'll have a story that'll go live later this afternoon that'll have links. Now, remember, there's not going to be any results on those links until everything is counted up later tonight. Pump House Center for the Arts is kicking off a Fix Our Bricks campaign. The center is in much need of exterior repair and restoration, with a great many bricks, stone supports, and lintels requiring replacement. An expert has been consulted and has agreed to do the work, but money needs to be raised. The work contracts must be finalized by the spring of next year. The entire project will take about $185,000 to complete. The PACT Act is one of the largest expansions for benefits and health care in VA history. The act impacts generations of veterans and their survivors across every service as far back as the Vietnam era. The Chillicothe VA Medical Center recently hit the 10,000 veterans screen milestone, which puts the facility at 35.7% of all total veterans. Medical Center is screening hundreds of veterans per week on its way to ensuring every veteran receives a screening. I think we told you about this a week or so ago, the spring speaker series. Coming up next is Gary Argabright. Your eyesight might be a little bit better. Is that today or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Wednesday night.
Is it 7 or 7:30 tomorrow?
Show up at 7 o'clock. You'll be there early enough to
Get
see
our
what's going on.
binoculars out. Maverick, where are you when we need you, son? Yeah, but that is tomorrow night.
It is 7:30.
7:30, okay.
Yes.
That's tomorrow night at the Ross County.
Maverick!
At the Ross County Historical Society. This is part of what the Chillicothe Trolley, was doing here a few weeks ago when they were taking people out and about.
You're going to talk more about the trolley here in a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. Something different, though.
Yes.
But People Who Care event, this was talked about on a recent interview you did.
Yes, that's coming up Thursday night. So if you want to participate, if you want to visit this interview and learn more, it's on our YouTube channel, and it's also here on our Facebook channel under videos. And that's where we sat down and talked with these lovely ladies, one from the Paper City Mentoring Project, and the other from Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central Ohio. If you have a 501c3 organization, this is an event you want to get to and hear them talk about how you can collaborate ideas and get to learn more, help share each other's information, and somebody's going to get some grant money out of all this too for their organization.
Yeah. The double Aaron interview, by the way.
Yes.
Aaron Givens and Aaron Olsop.
Correct.
Now, back to the trolley.
Yes.
Only this time, it's a military trolley tour. That starts on May the 13th. I think there's 3 or 4 different dates that they're doing this, but like they did with Gary Argabright on the Mounds trolley tours, this deals with military monuments, sites in and around Chillicothe. And that, again, starts May the 13th. To get more information, simply call the Chillicothe Transit System, and they can give you a schedule of rundown events.
Is Bob Leach involved with this?
I thought he told us that he was going to be involved in that.
Because he, if I'm not mistaken, last year when they had Special Military Recognition Day on May 13th, this was kind of like what they did. They went around and toured all this stuff. So, but this is going to be throughout the month of.
Yeah, you talk about experts.
Oh yeah,
Bob Leach, he knows his stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get on this tour or one of these tours, again, call the transit system.
And there's some new schedules for the month of May also for the trolley.
Yeah, check that out with the transit system. How about a little ragtime romp in Circleville? Moonlight Bay. That also on May the 13th in Circleville, reliving some of the music of the Ted Lewis era. And all that getting underway up at the high school there, or is that it kind of blended in there with the backdrop picture? I can't tell. Is that Circleville High School or the old Everett's school gym that they're doing that?
I can't tell.
Okay. Well, I tell you who you can find out from. Give a call to the Welcome Center up in Circleville. By the way, if you've not ever been inside there, you can stop and talk to Jenny. She'll be happy to give you all the information about what's happening in and around Circleville, Pickaway County. The Welcome Center on Route 22 on the west side of Circleville, just as you're entering town. But Moonlight Bay Ragtime Romp in Circleville on May the 13th.
And Joe Rubin and his orchestra, they do a fantastic job. And these musicians many of them are like professors from college. They're college musicians. They come in and perform. So, but I'm not seeing that. They usually do that at the high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that very well could be the high school again. I found this yesterday about possums. Now, to me, I mean, some people may think the possum is a cute little creature. I think they're one of the homeliest looking creatures that God ever created.
They have mothers, Mike.
Yes. Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to bring out about the possum that I never knew before until I saw this post that is so fascinating, they are actually our friends. Mm-hmm. And look at that. They are naturally immune to rabies. They can eat up to 5,000 ticks per year. They cannot catch or carry Lyme disease, which many ticks carry. And they also eat insects, spiders, small rodents, and dead stuff. So if you see me, kindly ignore me. I mean you no harm, but you could also probably put at the end, only good.
They also eat a lot of cat food. We put some cat food out for the outdoor cats that come to our area. And one of them is a very large possum.
How about that?
And Missy was looking out the back door one night, and she says, "Come and look at this thing. He was big."
Huge.
Yes.
I know they can, I don't know if they growl or hiss or what that is that they do if you corner them. But
They will hiss, yes. Because we had one climb into a trash can one time, and he was stuck.
Yeah.
And I was trying to let him out, and he was hissing the fit.
He said, "I'm just looking for some ticks down here, Dan."
I'm one of your nature's friends.
Yeah. So the possum, what you might not have known, now you do, thanks to Dan and Mike.
My late cousin Lawrence, they always called Possum.
Possum?
Yeah.
I think there's a possum in every community because there was one out in the Frankfort area too. Our road report for today in Madison County, I-71 northbound and southbound between the Fayette-Madison County line. I was down that way here over the weekend. And the Pickaway-Franklin County line, they have various daily lane restrictions from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. now through the end of this month. So just watch for the orange barrels, please.
You can't miss them. They are everywhere. And that's the time of the year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why we selected orange for those letters that you saw, Road Report. All right, coming up in just a moment, this date in history, and we'll take a look at sports coming up as well. First, I want to tell you about our friends at Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor for more than 4 decades now. You can learn more about their services and their service territories by clicking on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com. And it'll take you right to their website for accurate heating, cooling, and plumbing.
You asked, we delivered. New Mike's Hard Lemonade Zero Sugar. Zero sugar. Amazing taste. Years in the making. Now that's a drink worthy of the name Mike.
Now that's one fast mower. Take command of your lawn with Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
Yellow Day coming up Friday. It's Random Acts of Kindness Day, so make sure you participate and head downtown. And these kids have a blast, especially when they have the bubbles going.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they put a bubble machine on, and it bubbles everywhere.
I saw that somewhere in Columbus they're doing something comparable, but it involves they release thousands of yellow rubber ducks into the water. So they're going to be floating, I guess, I don't know, down the side of the river.
Is that for the like Waverly used to have the Waverly Derby, Duck Derby?
Yeah. Yeah, the way they were
do that here also at the Feast of the Flowering Moon. They used to have a little thing, and whoever's number reached the goal line first, they won a grand prize.
The way they were promoting this on the news last night, it was like if you find the rubber duck, give it to somebody and tell them have a nice day. Kind of like Yellow Day, only they're using the little. I just wonder if it'll get plugged up in any of the dams going down the river. Or
I'm concerned about how many make it to the Gulf of Mexico, and people wondering what's this thing.
What is this? Yeah. So be on the lookout for any rubber ducks that might make it down the Scioto River.
Those would be missed opportunities for being kind, I guess.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
that respect. I can tell you I was through Waverly the other day, and they have the Duck Derby signs up that they normally have up, but it says Plinko Derby.
Ooh.
So I wonder if they've decided to switch things up and play like the Price is Right's Plinko game as opposed to putting ducks in water.
Very well could be.
We have to check with the Waverly Lions to find out for sure.
Gotcha.
All right, it is sports time.
Yesterday, we were telling you about softball tournament draw. Well, here are the boys' tennis tournament brackets. Dan put that story up with links now to not only the Southeast District individuals and teams playing, but also those from our area that are represented in Division I in the Central District, which includes Chillicothe and Teays Valley. Now, speaking of tennis, usually this time of year in Ohio, if it rains, outdoor tennis matches, it's postponed. But in a couple of different sites now, they can play indoors. And this was Teays Valley first ever indoor tennis, and they beat Chillicothe 5-0.
Yeah, they were happy. They were raising their rackets right there.
Yeah.
It's always tough when my alma mater is playing one of my favorite high schools in sports.
Yeah. But you did a special on this new complex.
Yeah, when it was just before it opened, Joel Barker, the athletic director, gave us a walkthrough, and we had a chance to do that. That's available on our YouTube channel, so you can see more about the Teays Valley Athletic Complex. It's basketball, volleyball, and I did not know at the time that they talked about the possibility of playing tennis in there as well. So they're able to do that. Of course, Chillicothe has the Chillicothe Athletic Center, which used to be the old racket club. They can play inside there. And you also had Logan has a facility now.
Now, Chieftain Center, this is a magnificent facility. And they did the same thing yesterday. They had an outdoor match with Athens. Obviously, the cold and the rain moved them indoors. Athens wins at 5-0. But that's a sneak peek of the Chieftain Center, and you can see there they also have an indoor track inside that facility. I know they've been having some club volleyball, some AAU basketball tournaments in there. But it is quite the complex just outside of Logan.
And the fellow who spearheaded a lot of all the changes they made over there was Steve Stern.
Steve Stern, yes, sir. Also in sports, tournament-wise, for the first time ever, the OHSAA is sponsoring boys volleyball tournaments this year. Now, there's not many teams in our area that have a boys OHSAA team. There's some others that are playing it as a club sport or a pilot project, but Chillicothe and Westfall will be playing as Division II teams in this year's OHSAA Boys Volleyball Tournament. It starts off on May the 10th, and it'll culminate with the state tournament, which is being held at Wittenberg University this year. The longest-running high school track meet in the state, that's continuous running. That's the Ross County Track and Field Meet. It's at Adena High School. And that is, of course, a all-weather track. Yeah, it could be raining and be a little cool, but I think they'll try to get it in starting at about 4:30. And this typically does not have preliminary events. They'll just go with the, maybe 2 heats, and it'll go on times. So there won't be any preliminaries, but that gets underway at Frankfort at about 4:30.
And full disclosure, this photo is actually Huntington's track.
Who will be participating.
Which will be participating. Yeah. And next week they'll be hosting the SVC meet.
At Huntington.
And then a couple days later, it will be named the Rick Bethel track.
That's correct. A couple of state polls out, a few changes for softball, pardon me. Top 10 in state softball, Division I, Teays Valley still in the top 10, but they slipped a couple of notches there. Division II has Unioto ranked right up there. Division III, Wheelersburg is among those that are ranked in the top 10, and Portsmouth Notre Dame in the Division IV state poll. Baseball also came out yesterday. Nobody showing up in the top 10 in Division I, but in Division II, Unioto is a top 10 ranked team. So is Washington Courthouse at number 10. And then in Division III, we see, who do we see, Dan? Number 3?
Portsmouth is at number 8.
Yes. You can see that well?
Well, I'm looking at it on my phone here in front of me.
And in Division 4, I think White Oak is ranked number 2.
Number 1.
White Oak's 1?
Berlin Highland is number 2.
That's not what I'm seeing there in Division 4. I see White Oak as number 2.
They're the first school mentioned under the word school.
Okay, it's got the word school. See, I can't see that.
Yeah.
You're looking at it something much closer to you. So White Oak has moved up to number 1. They had been number 2. Maverick! Yeah. So Newark Catholic, they're at number 10, which is a team that some of our locals may see come regional time.
You put this together, right?
I did, but I didn't memorize that. Yeah, I thought I'd be able to see it better than that. I wish the Reds could see it better. Out in Petco Park last night, losing 8-3 to the Padres. That's their second straight loss to open that. Because remember, they lost their third and final game of the series against Oakland. There's 2 more games at San Diego before they come back. Now, the Guardians did get a win over the Yanks, 3-2 last night. They can't say it's the house that Babe built anymore because it's a new stadium, a new Yankee Stadium.
Which is what kind of like what they did in Cincinnati, right? With Great American Ballpark, they built it right next to the old Synergy Field.
And Crosley Field was only feet away from Redlands Field, which was basically in the same block, but I think there was home plate was in a different location. Mm-hmm. You know, didn't have an image for this because it just came to mind before we went on the air. A couple of weeks ago, we were telling you in the NHL that the Boston Bruins had set an NHL record for most wins in a season. Mm-hmm. Well, they were upset in the second round of the playoffs by, I think it was Tampa Bay. So a huge upset in the NHL after we'd bragged on the Boston Bruins setting an NHL record, then they get knocked out, surprisingly, in round 2 of the playoffs.
And that would make our boss very happy. He's a Tampa Bay Lightning
Tampa Bay Lightning guy.
Yes.
Oh, so tough one for the Bruins. Great news for Tampa Bay.
Yes.
And that is a look at sports.
This date in history takes us back to
1945.
All right.
A day that a lot of people were celebrating.
We will also have the revolutionary moment that we'll share with you coming up as well. McDonald's. Stop in to McDonald's in Western Avenue, East Main Street, North Bridge Street. They're at 2nd and also North Bridge Street in the Chillicothe Mall. You can stop in Circleville, in Greenfield, and in Waverly because tomorrow is open interview day with the manager. 2
every
until
Wednesday.
5.
Yes, sir. Every Wednesday.
So if you are looking for work, they're looking for you to add to the McCrew.
You know, have we ever been in there on a Wednesday when they're doing that? Just to see if they would look at us and say, "Are you here for an interview?" Yes, and give me a double cheeseburger plain while you're at it.
I have not been in an interview with McDonald's. However, I have conducted several interviews with McDonald's, which you can find those on the playlist for McDonald's on our YouTube channel. So go and check those out. In fact, we've got 2 new ones, one with Jody Fairchild, who's the manager out at the North Bridge Street and Chillicothe Mall, and also Leah Metler, who's one of the crew members there at Western Avenue.
And you said you ran into one of our old buddies while you were video.
I did. Saw Matt. And in fact, Matt makes a cameo appearance in the video with Leah. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel. Click again on the playlists, and you'll find it under McDonald's.
I'm loving it.
There you go. He almost missed his
Thought you were going to cue me again.
All right. That's a look at what's going on for sports and also McDonald's, of course, today. But stick close. This date in history on the way next.
Dixie Chopper. Speed when you need it.
Visit your local Dixie Chopper dealer today or visit DixieChopper.com.
This is Big Chillicothe. Horizon's 100% fiber internet service is coming to your area. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
At Rathkamp Financial, we provide wealth management services that may ease clients' fears of financial loss and help them retire comfortably. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
It is time to jump into Leonard Media Wayback Machine and make our way back to 1945.
Yeah, a whole lot of shouting going on this date. In 1945, approximately 1 million German soldiers lay down their arms as the terms of the German unconditional surrender signed at Caserta on April 29th comes into effect. Early the same day, Russian Marshal Georgy K. Zhukov accepts the surrender of the German capital, Berlin, and the Red Army took 134,000 German soldiers prisoner as the fighting officially ends in Europe on this day in 1945.
You know, it's really hard to imagine 1 million soldiers. I mean, you see that computer generated in movies and things, but picturing that, and I know Missy's grandfather was in the Pacific, part of that 1 million soldiers that was ready to go into Japan, but was spared of going in because of the drop of the bomb.
Yeah.
But I remember talking with him about what it was like to be, he said there's people everywhere on those ships.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, my mom's gone, but I'm trying to think. Aunt Ruth probably wouldn't want me telling how old she was in 1945. But Aunt Ruth, you might remember this date. I don't know, but I know a lot of other folks watching probably do remember that day as well. Also, every Tuesday, the Daughters of the American Revolution Nathaniel Massey chapter give us a bicentennial moment of the Revolution. And a group of representatives from the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum located in Boston will be marking the grave of Nathaniel Willis, a patriot of the Boston Tea Party. Now, the museum, in honor of the 250th anniversary of the Tea Party on December the 16th of this year, is marking the graves of patriots involved in the infamous Tea Party. There are many buried in the New England states, but only 2 in the state of Ohio. An afternoon event is planned including members of the Joseph Ogle Ohio Company of the Virginia Militia, members of the Brigade of the American Revolution representing and presenting colors, and a musket salute. So everybody that has done, well, I shouldn't say everybody. I don't know what they're teaching in history anymore, but used to, we always heard about the Boston Tea Party, where we said to the king, all right, take this. I can see a Bugs Bunny character on that ship somewhere. Sassy Bunny.
You know, I keep picturing the World War II version of Bugs Bunny, where he had like the missiles come by and he had to hit them with a hammer, and then okay, that one's a dud.
Yeah.
Taking a bath in a bucket. No, it's a helmet, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a helmet and all. And the one where he's at the Department of Defense and he's yelling at the guy.
Yeah.
I think it was a draft notice he got or something like that. And the guy says, "Stop steaming up my glasses."
Oh, great. Yeah, that's great.
I miss Bugs Bunny cartoons. Yeah. They were fun.
Daffy Duck getting drafted. That was. Now, a lot of these cartoons, they won't show them anymore because they're insensitive.
Yeah.
But they were, of course, we were poking fun at our enemy at that time, and some of those are just absolutely hilarious. So.
Yeah, but not to everyone.
Well, seeing Hermann Goering, who was rather a large guy, and they magnify his size, like twofold.
Satire.
Yeah, and Hitler, acting like a buffoon and all that sort of thing, and then Joseph Stalin, Bugs, dressed up like Joe Stalin, popping up out of something that Hitler was right next to, saying, "Does your tobacco taste funny lately?" Now, of course, rationing was a big deal back then, so you didn't get the top grade tobacco at home to smoke. So that's probably what that reference was all about.
Yeah, or as Stan Lee said, rationing, which I don't know if that's what they called it back then or what, or maybe that was just a Brooklyn accent or something. I don't know, but there was a video of where he talks about his time in Chillicothe, Ohio. And Stan Lee, of course, most famous for his involvement with Marvel Comics, but he was in the military at that time, and he was driving Route 50 and had a flat tire here in the Chillicothe area. And he said, I happened across a woman, or a young girl, whose father was the rationing king, as he said. And or rationing czar, maybe.
Well, that was the mayor.
I don't know. I'll have to watch the video.
But he had a connection for the little girl to get him a tire.
Precisely, and they got him fixed up with a tire so he could go on home to New York. And it's one of those, hey, soldiers stop here, broken down, and that's not too long from World War I, which we would have had Camp Sherman here, so I'm sure there was a lot of people that were willing to help out the soldiers.
Right.
They remember being part of a big base here and everything, so I'm sure that probably played into it too.
Well, and a lot of trains that came through here back in those days, and probably carrying a lot of soldiers, different parts of the country. So, Chillicothe was a big part of all that.
And I think there's still, there's so many vaudeville acts that performed here at the Majestic Theater. And some would go, I want to say when they were remodeling what is now our kitchen, I think when they were remodeling it for a couple of businesses ago, they came across some autographs.
Oh, wow.
That were on the wall.
Wow.
That were uncovered by something else. And I don't know what names are on there. I can't remember, but there might have been, some famous folks on there.
Yeah, I'm sure there were.
Yeah.
Sure there were. Okay.
Do we have a radio bit today?
You didn't get ever chance to interview Stan Lee, did you, by any chance?
No.
On the radio?
I reached out to them when we discovered the video, and of course he passed here a few years ago. But that would have been cool to get a chance to talk to Stan Lee and about his time here in Chillicothe.
Dan Latham, when he was our boss at WBEX, they were cleaning out the cellar or the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And he came across a bunch of these old radio magazines. I'd never heard of them. And but they were fascinating. I mean, they had articles. Of course, back in those days, radio wasn't just music. There were shows, plays, drama, suspense, and all that sort of thing. Hi-Yo Silver, all that good stuff.
Only the shadow knows.
Yeah. But a lot of these magazines would have articles about many of the movie stars who also portrayed characters in radio shows. And he gave me several of those, and my wife, she can see how something would look, and I just can't picture it. But she framed a lot of these magazine covers. One's got Bob Hope on the cover of it, Basil Rathbones on another. So I've got them hanging up in my den. So that's kind of neat. And by the way, boss, if I never thanked you for those, thanks for. But he also had found a transmitter log way back when we used to have to take transmitter readings. We had to sign in, on our shift and show, what we were reading. Of course, then that all became automated and it took care of itself. But I think he found one from 1981 where I had signed in and out and took transmitter readings. And if he gave me that one, I can't remember what I did with it. But
during my days in Columbus, when my name was changed from Ramey to Mitchell, that's what created the signature that I have today, one that no one can read. And the reason for that is because whenever I would see my name, I would say my name. Mm-hmm. You put something in front of me to read, I am going to read what that is. And so I was training myself because every 2 hours we would have to read the transmitters, and then he'd have to sign the log. And if I finished signing Dan Ramey, I would come on microphone and Ramey would come out instead of Mitchell. And so that's where that became my signature. And I know when we sign our forms for taking the offering at church, our second elder looks at me and says, and I'm like, come on, Dave. Because I got my name written in like a half second, and he takes 10 seconds to write his name out, but you can read his. And I said, hey, I've got the initials DR, and I write like a doctor.
Doctor, yeah. Yes. Well, you, like me, worked at a number of different radio stations.
Yeah.
When I went from one station to another, I would have to write the call letters out and stick it, because I kept saying the old call letters on the new radio station.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of tricky sometimes, too.
At one point in time during our sportscasting careers, to the best of my knowledge, prior to us bringing all the radio stations together, and not that we brought them together, but the groups we worked for brought them together, I was the only announcer who had done play-by-play on all 4 Chillicothe radio stations. And then when we brought CHI into the fold, we used it for like a Zane Trace game, I think, that you did a tournament game on there. So we have been the only 2 that have done that, that I'm aware of. And so having said all that, it seemed like as the combination of the radio stations together created more call letters you had to remember, different slangs that were used for nicknames and things like that for their stations. And then I got involved with doing voice work for some of the other stations. So I was doing a midday show. After my morning show, I did middays here in Chillicothe. Forgive me. I did afternoons here in Chillicothe on what was then the Mix station.
Right.
And I was also doing middays for the Marion radio station.
Yeah.
And so you talk about getting your call letters messed up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I ever mixed anything up there. However, I did fill in on XIZ one night for a Chillicothe Paints broadcast, and I'm sure I said WBEX at some point in time on WXIZ. So that was a little difficult.
When we started doing in Chillicothe, I was doing news not only in Chillicothe on the stations, but I was also doing news in Washington Courthouse and Hillsborough. And the first time I did a newscast on the Hillsborough station, somebody who was from Chillicothe was driving through Hillsborough, and they heard and they called me and said, "When did you leave, KK?" No, I'm not. Yeah. And then I started doing news for Wheeling, Parkersburg, and Huntington, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about that, let's take, for example, the town spelled Stauton. In West Virginia, it's pronounced differently than it is over in Fayette County. Mm-hmm. So you got to get all of those. And then there was the 2 days that I filled in doing the afternoon news on WTVN. I had all kind of people calling that day. When did you leave Chillicothe? I haven't left. Mm-hmm. I'm just filling in. So,
and we can thank the one and only Matt Bruning for that, I think, because when their sports director was at the Big Ten meetings, they didn't have anyone to do morning sports, so I filled in for him that 1 week, and my Facebook Messenger just blew up from everybody that remembered me in Columbus. And not only that, but my old hometown area, they were all reaching out saying, "Hey, heard you on WTVN this morning. When did you start work?" Well, it's just temporary.
It's just
helping out, helping the mothership, as we would say.
Just filling in that day. Yeah, that was interesting.
We did a lot of things extra than what we did here in Chillicothe. Of course, we're most known for what we did here in Chillicothe and a surrounding area. But through the voice exchange that iHeartMedia gave, this was an opportunity for your voice to be heard in other places around the country. Mm-hmm. And so what they would do is they would send you some copy. You would be one of maybe 10 to 15 people that read said copy, and then they selected from that who they wanted to be on their commercial. So I had the opportunity to be in Chicago. I was on in Los Angeles. I was on in Florida. I was the voice of a trucking company in Florida. I was selected as the voice for a bank in Arizona, and the reason for this, they said, was they had their bank associates all sitting around this big table, and they thought about the number of transplants from Ohio who had made their way to Arizona, and they said, out of all the voices they listened to, he sounds like them.
Yeah, exactly. For a reason,
Yeah, so I guess I was profiled.
Yeah,
and was allowed to do that. So it was really cool to get a chance to do a lot of that stuff that otherwise, if not for the big conglomerate, we wouldn't have had the chance to do that sort of thing.
Traveled to many states that I actually was never in.
Yeah.
Just the voice. Yeah.
One final that I remember wholeheartedly was it came across Grand Forks, North Dakota. A a property we had there.
Yeah.
My son was stationed in Grand Forks, and it was a domestic violence commercial for their local sheriff's department. And I said, I've got to read this one. So I went ahead and cut it, sent it off to them. And then about 5 days later, I get this phone call from Danny, and he says, Dad, did you do a commercial for about domestic violence for the sheriff's department out here? And I said, yeah. He says, boy, I can't say what he said, but he said, I knew that was you.
I knew that was you, yeah.
And so I said, well, I thought it would be kind of cool for that to happen. So
I know when WBEX FM, which later became WKKJ on 93.3, it was 50,000 watts FM, and you could hear the station, and to this day, I never cared enough, I guess, to look it up. Firebrick, Kentucky.
Oh, really?
Do you know where that is?
I do not.
But we always had somebody from Firebrick, Kentucky calling, requesting a song. And I thought, okay, nice, thanks for listening, but wherever you are down there in Firebrick, if you're watching, I remembered the name at least.
You know, I was on a number of commercials that we shared back and forth before the radio stations were brought together. So my voice had been on WKKJ before. But before I started working for KKJ and BEX, I was on there making a request. This would have been the Saturday night show on, what was it? SMN was the name of the network.
Satellite Music Network,
yeah.
Right.
And one of the hosts working overnights on the weekend, I worked with at Sunday 95. He went to Chicago, where the broadcast originated from, and he was hosting that show. I got to call in and request a song by Randy Travis for my wife.
Achy Breaky? No, that
was my cousin.
That was your cousin singing that song. Oh, wow.
So, radio days, we try and wrap up things on our daily show with a radio moment. So if you're just now seeing this for the first time, that's the reason to stick through the show all the way through, because there are some things that are very memorable. Some were momentous, and others not so much.
Yeah. We'll get to those somewhere down the line.
Yeah, one of these days. All right, that's it for the program today. We do have a special show for you tomorrow, and we'll tell you more about that on tomorrow morning's show, because it'll be tomorrow afternoon.
All righty.
So until tomorrow morning, for Mike Smith, the icon, I'm Dan Ramey, the nobody. We'll see you tomorrow here on another edition of Litter Media Live.